So the first question is, do I need a custom app or can I just use existing software? I keep hearing about businesses making their own apps, but I don't know if it's worth it for my small company. Well, it comes down to the ROI of an app. I see a lot of apps that are really kind of just vanity apps being built. And that's fine if you feel that that is a good investment that can't be applied elsewhere for more return. I have a basic app, my CTO To Go app. I'll have a link in the description to where you can take a look at it. But basically, it's what websites were 15 years ago. Just kind of a brochure of my services, how to get in touch with me. But it does give me some additional reach into my customers' pockets. So when someone signs up, I can send them notifications and they'll get an alert on their app. You can do the same with text messages, but an app lets you get feedback and have whatever experience you want in it with your customers to either do a quote or more advanced things than a text message can do. The issue is if you're not a developer, that's going to be an expensive proposition to get set up. Now, if you're interested in learning some basic app development and deployment techniques, I can give you a bundle that's a starter kit for a mobile app that you can take and modify and build your own app from. But again, it comes down to, is the juice worth the squeeze? Are you getting a return that's valuable for what you're spending to make it happen? Next, how do I know if my website is actually helping me grow my business? It looks okay, but I don't know if it's doing what it's supposed to do. That's tough. Um, Even if you have analytics plugged in and you're getting reports on visitors to your site, really the only true indicator of your site doing what it's supposed to do is if it's intended to increase sales, your phone's ringing more, you've got more revenue in your business. If it's intended to reduce customer support, your support phone is ringing less and people are self-serving on the website. So first you have to know what the intent of your website is, why it's out there. Is it a brochure? Is it a support avenue? Is it a sales lead avenue? Is it an e-commerce site? And once you know the primary reason for your site, then you can come up with the metrics that indicate what's best uh, to look at to determine whether or not it's behaving the way you expect it to. What's the difference between a developer, a CTO, and an IT guy? Everyone I talk to says they do tech, but I don't know who I actually need. So that's a great way to look at the different roles and what they provide for your business. A developer writes code. They may have some project management responsibilities, but typically that's going to fall to you or a project manager or a CTO that's managing developers for your business. So they are technically there to write code for your website, for your app, for your applications, your background integrations to different platform systems, but they don't typically have the responsibility of directing their work or managing their accountability to delivery. That's going to be a business owner or a manager or a tech leader responsibility. So a CTO. A CTO is in charge of your technology strategy. They are the ones that decide what architecture to use, what platforms to adopt, and they will tune that based on their experience and based on what your scenarios are in your business. If you need a smaller architecture because you're not doing compute intensive work, they'll help recommend that kind of setup so you're not spending thousands and thousands of dollars on resources that you don't need. They will come up with your development practices, how you prioritize work, and what criteria goes into prioritizing work. They are the kind of technology brain for your business, and they are there to make good strategic decisions about what you need to build and in what order and with what methodology. So that's a CTO in a nutshell. An IT guy can be anything from desktop or server support, maintaining your infrastructure in the background. Basically, they're your front line when you have a technology issue. You call them and say, hey, this is misbehaving. What do we do? And they either solve it immediately or escalate it to the responsible party. If it's a bug in the software, they'll hand it off to the developers. If it's a strategic decision, they'll pass it up to the CTO. If it's within their wheelhouse to solve and there's a procedure in place for it, they solve those problems for you. Is my business too small to use cloud services like AWS or Azure? I thought those were only for big tech companies. The answer is nothing is too small for AWS or Azure in the cloud. Very basic implementation is hosting a website for your business in the cloud without a server. So if you just need a static presence on the web, you can do that with AWS, and the cost is going to be pennies per month instead of tens, hundreds, thousands of dollars per month. So nothing is too small to be solved by AWS or Azure Cloud. If you're interested in that, I'll have a link to my static website solution video that I use to direct traffic to the various marketplaces for mobile apps. It's really a great way to save money on web hosting. And again, it's a very small problem to solve that the cloud does really well. How can I tell if my data is secure? I store customer info in spreadsheets and send invoices via email. Should I be worried? Sending invoices typically via email doesn't have quite as much risk as if you were sending credit cards or passwords via email, which you should never do, by the way. Instead, if you want to step it up a little bit to more security, I would use a service like Google Drive or Dropbox where you can share a link to specific people that have to prove their identity before they can access it. Again, the risk is you expose invoice information that you may or may not care whether someone besides the intended recipient sees it. Customer info in a spreadsheet, if it's stored locally on your machine, could be an issue if your machine is compromised. I would look into password protecting anything that has sensitive customer info in it. Wherever it's stored, that gives you an added wall to prevent access to it. If instead you migrate to a CRM platform like HubSpot, there's protections built into accessing that information, but you give up full control of that when you put it into a platform like HubSpot CRM or something else. So if you want to keep your data, regardless of what platform you're using, when you're using it, you want to have a secondary plan for storing it, but you do want to be smart about the security of that. What tools should I be using to automate tasks and save time? We're drowning in manual work, and I know there's a better way. There's platforms like Zapier and Make that allow you to build out your own automations for your processes, but there's a learning curve. If you haven't done that before, you're going to spend some time getting up to speed on it. If you'd like an audit of your workflows and how to automate those, um, I'll have a link below to my service for auditing just what you're talking about, the workflows and how to uh, take those from a manual execution into an automated mode. But the idea is correct. Automating anything you can correctly will save a lot of time, free up a lot of the brain power in your organization to do more advanced work and increase revenue, reduce costs. So the more you can automate, the better. How do I protect my business if my developer quits or disappears? Everything is built by one person and I'm nervous they might move on. You want to make sure you have a repository that you collaborate with that developer in. Exchanging files back and forth is not a great way to make sure you have the latest and greatest. I recommend a Git repository online. GitHub is what I traditionally use, but what that is a repository that you can set up, set yourself as the owner, and as the developer makes changes, they check that change into the repository. And as the owner, you're the one in control of the history. The developer wouldn't be able to go in and delete anything permanently from the repository. That would just be another entry in the log. So if they added file A, made changes to it for a month, and then deleted it from the repository at the end of the month, you're able to go back to every single check-in that the developer did and retrieve that date of the work at that point. So as the owner, you have full control, but you have to work with that developer, get that set up, get them access, and make sure they're checking their work into the system on a regular basis. So, if you would like a consultation on how that works, I'll have a link in the description on how to set that up. What's the best way to manage tech projects when I don't understand the tech? I feel left out of meetings because I don't know the lingo. So, one of the great features I've recently started using is a transcription of any Zoom or Google Meet meetings that I participate in, just to have a full accounting of what was discussed. You can take those transcripts and feed them into AI, ChatGPT, and ask for a summary. And if that summary is still going over your head, you can ask the AI to reduce the lingo, explain it in common business terms, and get a boiled down version that makes it make sense to you. As you go along, you'll start learning the lingo and start understanding more of it in the first go round. But a AI summary is a great aid to that learning curve and helping you get that in a format that makes sense to you. I'll have some links to prompts in the description that I use with my clients to help them distill that down into a more consumable uh, piece of content out of a meeting. How much should I budget for tech each year? I never know if I'm spending too much or not enough. Audit your consumption of what you're paying for. Look at what you spend and really weigh that against the benefit you've received from that technology. There are a lot of platforms that are more expensive than businesses need them to be. They tout that they're easy to use or simple, and that's what you're paying for. In my experience, that's not necessarily true. In my experience, that's not necessarily the case. If you want an audit of your technology, I'll have a link in the description that you can use to book one with me. What's one piece of tech every business should have, no matter how small? I want to start simple and grow from there. Basically, have something that lets you uh, make your business process more efficient. And that can be as simple as email. It can be a website that helps customers find you and start that communication with you. So, basic level of technology, a good, reliable email system, and a way to start serving customers in a more automated fashion through a website at the very least. Those are my two recommendations. There may be more depending on your particular situation, but start there and build out. That's it. Those are the 10 questions that I have to kick off the initial review of a business, the 10 most common things that I hear from customers. If you found this useful, please click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future question and answer sessions that I put out for you. Again, if you're interested in working with me in your business, check out the consulting link in the description. I'm happy to have a conversation and help you take the next step. See you in the next one.